Luka Modrić was born right into the middle of chaos, just as war was ripping through Croatia. One of his earliest memories? Losing his grandfather, who was taken by enemy soldiers. His childhood home burned to the ground. From that point on, it was pure survival. He grew up in underground shelters, surrounded by fear, noise, and destruction. But somehow, through all that darkness, his light still found a way to shine. And then, his moment finally came. Club success, Champions League glory, the Ballon d'Or. Luka Modrić had climbed to the absolute peak of world football. But hold on, it wasn't all smooth sailing from there. In the very same year he was crowned the best player on the planet, he was locked in a legal battle back home, slammed by public criticism, and dangerously close to landing in prison. And yet, through every twist, every headline, every punch thrown his way, Modrić never cracked. This is the unbelievable story of Luka Modrić. Now, before we go deep into this video, don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe if you haven't already, and let's get into it. Luka Modric's journey to football greatness starts high up in the rugged hills near Zadar, in a little village called Madrid, where the land was too dry to grow crops, let alone host football dreams. But that didn't stop young Luka. At just 5 years old, he was already herding goats for his grandfather, kicking a ball made of cloth around the rocky terrain, aiming shots at the garage door of the modest house where his whole family lived. Then came the war. When Luka was only 6, his world was shattered. His beloved grandfather was killed by Serbian forces near their home, a place that would soon become too dangerous to ever return to, littered with landmines and echoes of violence. Luka and his family fled, becoming refugees almost overnight. Their new reality? A cramped hotel turned shelter in Zadar, called Hotel Colavare. They would live there for the next 7 years, one of the last refugee families to move out. And yet, even in that chaos, Luka found his escape. The flat parking lot outside the hotel became his football pitch. With nothing but sheer passion, he spent hour after hour practicing, even while war raged on around him. Teachers would call him in for homework, but he'd smile politely and ask for just a little more time on the ball. He was talented at everything. Basketball, handball, even playing goalkeeper, but it was always football that had his heart. At age 10, with the war slowly winding down, Luka was already making moves. His family even took him to try out for Hajduk Split, one of Croatia's top clubs, without telling his local club. But Hajduk turned him down. Too small, they said. Not strong enough. But his coach at NK Zadar, Tomislav Bajsic, who had become like a second father to him, didn't hold a grudge. Instead, he knew Luka needed more. So Bajsic called up a football agent named Zdravko Mamić, someone who would later become a big and controversial figure in Croatian football. On just a recommendation, without even seeing him play in person, Mamić took a chance on Luka. That one leap of faith sent Modrić to Dinamo Zagreb in 2001. Now, almost immediately, Dinamo Zagreb loaned him out to Zrinjski Mostar in the Bosnian League. Tough break, right? Literally. The only thing guaranteed there was that he was going to get kicked around. Hard. People at Dinamo said it was to toughen him up, but behind closed doors, there were whispers. Was he strong enough? Good enough? Well, Luka didn't just silence the doubters. He buried the doubts. Just 18 years old and playing in one of the most physical leagues around, he ended the season as the Bosnian League's Player of the Year in 2003-2004. The next season, Dinamo sent him on loan again, this time to Inter Zapresic. Instead of complaining, Luka got to work. He helped the team finish second in Croatia's top league and grabbed the Young Player of the Year award along the way. Back at Dinamo, things weren't so sunny. The club was in deep trouble, fighting to avoid relegation. Luka returned just in time, and some say they might not have stayed up without him. But Dinamo got the message loud and clear. They offered Modrić a 10-year deal, a huge vote of confidence. And then came the glory days. Between 2005 and 2007, Dinamo Zagreb ran the show in Croatian football, with Modrić pulling the strings in midfield. Still, change was in the air. Rumors were flying. Arsenal wanted him. Even Barcelona were watching. But Modrić stayed put, and it paid off big time. Dinamo bagged both the league and the cup, finishing the season a staggering 28 points ahead of the next best team. In April 2008, Modrić finally made the leap abroad. Tottenham Hotspur came calling with a £16.5 million deal, and by summer, Luka was walking through the gates at White Hart Lane. But things didn't exactly start with fireworks. Just 4 games in, he suffered a knee injury. He was played out of position, and Spurs were spiraling, managing only 1 win in their first 10 games. Critics labeled him lightweight, and Tottenham sat rock bottom of the Premier League by September. Then, Harry Redknapp showed up and saw what others didn't. A midfield maestro hiding in plain sight. He shifted Modrić to the center and began building the team around him. Even after breaking his leg the next season, Modrić came back and lit up the pitch. Redknapp called him a manager's dream, and he wasn't kidding. Spurs broke into the top 4 for the first time in 21 years and booked a spot in the Champions League. Then Chelsea came knocking with a £22 million bid and then upped it to £27 million. Spurs weren't having it. The next summer, Chelsea came back again, this time with £40 million. Spurs still wouldn't budge. But behind the scenes, Modrić made a gentleman's agreement with chairman Daniel Levy. If a top club came knocking again, they'd consider it. The respect went both ways. By the end of the 2011-2012 season, his time in England was coming to a close. He signed off in style with a stunning volley against Bolton, and on August 27, 2012, he officially joined Jose Mourinho's Real Madrid for around £30 million. But just like when he first arrived at White Hart Lane, Luka Modric's early days at Real weren't exactly smooth sailing. He came in without a proper preseason, and the competition for midfield spots was brutal. Modrić, once again, found himself playing out of position, and as the team fell 16 points behind Barcelona, the critics sharpened their knives. Things got so bad that halfway through his debut season, a Marca poll ranked him as the worst foreign signing in club history. That's right, worst. Fans were calling him a ghost on the pitch and mocking him for being the guy who assists the guy who makes the assists. But Mourinho saw something others didn't. He saw how Modric's first touch could break pressure lines, how he could twist and turn out of tight spaces, and how he could stop Barcelona's suffocating press in its tracks. Slowly, that perception began to shift. Then came the summer of 2013. Carlo Ancelotti took the reins, and everything clicked. Modrić and Alonso formed a midfield duo that was the heartbeat of the side. That season, Real lifted both the Copa del Rey and the Champions League. But somehow, Modrić still didn't make the Ballon d'Or shortlist. Despite the snub, his performances kept rising. Even when Toni Kroos came in and Alonso left, Modrić remained vital. But an injury the next season sidelined him, and Ancelotti openly said that losing Modrić was one of the main reasons they couldn't repeat their European triumph or win the league. That disappointment led to Zidane's appointment, and with that, a new golden age began. Under Zidane, Real Madrid entered a historic run, and Modrić was right in the middle of it. Zidane called him a master of the game, the connector that made the team tick. Modrić finally earned his first Ballon d'Or nomination. Okay, he only got 1 vote, but the message was clear. The world was finally catching up. The next season, well, another Champions League title. This time, he even got an assist in the final and was named UEFA's Midfielder of the Year, finishing 5th Ballon d'Or voting. His consistency was unreal, and by 2018, Modrić wasn't just great, he was climbing into best in the world territory. But just as he was peaking, a decade-old storm came crashing back. The man who had once taken a chance on him, Zdravko Mamić, had become one of the most corrupt figures in Croatian football. Mamic's rise was tied to dirty money, intimidation, fraud, and even an assassination attempt. He was finally convicted and sentenced to prison in 2018, but fled the country before authorities could catch him. Modrić got caught up in the mess. His move to Tottenham had been part of one of Mamic's shady deals, and when the scandal hit the court, Modric's testimony seemed to shift, raising eyebrows everywhere. He went from publicly criticizing Mamić to defending him. That U-turn earned him national backlash. Fans turned on him, public figures denounced him, and even his childhood hotel was vandalized with insults. Facing possible jail time and drowning in criticism, most people thought his World Cup was doomed before it began. And then came Russia 2018 to their first World Cup final. And though they lost 4-2 to France, Modric's performance was world-class. He won the Golden Ball as the tournament's best player, and when he returned home, tens of thousands celebrated him like a hero. All the doubt, the anger, the legal mess, it faded, at least for a moment, and the momentum didn't stop. Back at Madrid, he lifted another Club World Cup and added a goal and an assist in the final. December 2018 became the best month of his life. First, the charges against him were dropped. Then, in one of football's most historic moments, he broke the decade-long Ballon d'Or duopoly of Messi and Ronaldo. But football always has a twist. The following season was tough. With Cristiano Ronaldo and Zidane both gone, Real crashed out of every major competition in one brutal week, and Modrić admitted it was the hardest time of his career. Pundits whispered that he was past it, but he had other ideas. Years later, at age 36, Modrić was not just surviving, he was starring. In the 2021-2022 Champions League run, he assisted in both legs of the quarterfinals against Chelsea and earned man of the match with a mind-blowing Trivela pass that set up Rodrigo. That pass was so good, Thierry Henry called it absolutely perfect, and Ali McCoy dubbed it the pass of the decade. That same year, he helped Real clinch their 35th La Liga title and was on the pitch when they lifted the Champions League trophy for the 5th time in his career. During the 2022 World Cup qualifiers, Luka Modrić wasn't just showing up, he was putting on a master class. Then on November 9th, he got the call for his 4th World Cup, adding yet another chapter to his legendary story. In Qatar, Modrić was everywhere. Croatia made it to back-to-back semifinals, lost to Argentina, but bounced back to beat Morocco and take 3rd place. And Modrić, well, he didn't just grab a bronze medal. He took home the bronze ball as the tournament's 3rd best player at 37. Back at Madrid, the 2023-2024 season marked a turning point. With Benzema gone, Modrić stepped up as vice-captain, proof of the respect he commands. The team was evolving, and so was the game, but when it counted, Modrić showed up. On May 4th, 2024, in a 3-0 win over Cadiz, he became the oldest player to ever feature for Madrid in La Liga, edging past the legendary Puskás. That same match sealed his 4th La Liga title and took him to 25 trophies with the club, tying him with Marcelo, Benzema, and Nacho as Madrid's most decorated players. But Modrić wasn't done. Just weeks later, Madrid beat Borussia Dortmund in the Champions League final, and with that, he claimed his 26th trophy, matching Nacho's record. It also marked his 6th Champions League final win, a feat no one else had achieved, except Dani Carvajal, who shared that record with him. Despite offers from Major League Soccer and Saudi Arabia, Modrić has made it clear he isn't ready to leave. His dream? To retire as a Real Madrid player, still walking out onto the Bernabeu pitch in those iconic white colors. And maybe, just maybe, every now and then, he thinks back to that boy from the rugged hills of Zadar, the one who herded goats and dodged war, who somehow rose to lift a Ballon d'Or. The same boy whose father must have stood there in disbelief one night, realizing the best footballer on the planet was his son, a son of Croatia, a legend of the game. Hey, if you enjoyed this video, be sure to like and subscribe for more content like this.